Rev up your engines!
Well, the politicians are at it again. You know, the government's bankrupt because the interest rates went up and they can't even pay the interest on the trillions of dollars they owe, right? So both parties get together, and what is the deal that they're talking about now? That they're going to suspend the debt and raise the debt ceiling until January 1st, 2025. Now, kind of an interesting figure when you think about it, because you know what that is? That's after the next presidential election, right? They'll have to deal with it after the next presidential election, right? Both sides, I don't want to do anything in real world terms, right? Because they're all involved in it. You think one side's clean and one side's dirty. They're both as dirty as can possibly be. Just like this stuff, they're always chasing after people. We're going to put this guy in jail. He did a bad job. Look, he broke all the laws. Hey, all the politicians are breaking all the laws practically all the time. So, of course, they're not going to go after each other. They're going to huff and they're going to puff and they're going to blow, but they're going to be like Wolf blowing on the brick house with the pigs in it. It's not going to move, right? Because they're just pontificating like they always do. And they, oh, well, we're going to do the blah, 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 right? And they're just suspended till 2025, you know, after the next election. So then they don't have to deal with it as an election campaign thing because, of course, if you do get elected, then you have to do what you say you're going to do. Right? You remember George Bush? He said, read my lips, no new taxes. Well, he had to raise taxes because there was 8 years of deficit spending with Ronald Reagan. The debt was so big, they had to raise taxes, and that was it for old George. He was a one-time president. So they always want to push all the stuff into the future. So, well, let somebody else deal with it. And we won't even have to talk about it until then. Or you think I'm making things up about people being crooks? Here's an email from a guy who started working at a Mercedes-Benz dealer. I work at a Mercedes dealership to get some experience before I go private. My manager wanted me to spray grease on the customer's shocks to try and con them into buying new struts and shocks. I showed him your maintenance log that the customer had in his glove box because he watched your video. So my shop manager said, oh, never mind. Ha, Scotty's out here saving lives. Basically, you want to maintain your car right. Forget all the crap that people tell you. Get just a little notebook, logbook. Put it in your glove box. If you got to change your coolant every 6 years or 100,000 miles, write it in there. Transmission fluid, maybe every 40, 50,000, write it in there. When did you last get tires? Write it in there. Tires go bad after so many years, right? When was the last time you had the brake fluid flushed? Write it in there. You'll have it all there, and then people can't try to sell you stuff. You need this, and you got, oh, no, I don't need that yet. Oh, I just did that. Believe me, there's so many crooks out there. Get a little logbook, stick it in there. Or if you don't want to do logbooks, put it on your phone. Car maintenance. Type it in, have it under car maintenance. Put it all down there so nobody can rip you off. Daniel Brown says, Scotty, Daniel from Australia. Air conditioning, my car's coming through the foot walls and a defroster, but not the front. What's the problem? You got a problem in your air vent system. You're stuck on defrost. It's coming at your feet and at the top. You want it to come in the middle. Now, depending on the car you have, some of the old ones are mechanical. You just pull the switch back and forth, and if it binds, put some spray lube, try to get it. Now they're all run by computers. You really have to pay a mechanic like me, and what we do is we hook our fancy scan tool up that can do bi-directional testing, and we'll say, let's input open middle vents. We'll do that. Our computers will say, the message went out, and then we can look at the data. And then we'll see, these actuators didn't move because it'll show 0 to 100. And if we tell them to move to 100 and they stay at 0, you know, either the wiring's bad or the actuator's bad. You probably have bad actuators inside. And it can be a pain. You got to take the whole dash and everything apart. They make them too complicated. That's basically what it comes down to. Patriot Prepper says, Mercedes Sprinter, what's the reliability? I've seen some people buy those Sprinters, get 400,000 miles, and they're going strong. They maintain them, didn't beat them, just drove them normally, right? I've also seen guys buy them. The turbos blow up. They have electronic problems. Mercedes doesn't make things as well as they used to. They're nowhere near. When I was a young mechanic, Doc Kirby in Lewiston, New York, bought himself a Mercedes with mechanical fuel injection. We learned how to work on them. Those things were like tanks. It could run forever, right? The new stuff, it's all computerized. So it's kind of like a crapshoot. Maybe you'll get a good one. Maybe you won't get a good one, right? They cost a small fortune. And the parts, of course, cost a small fortune. I just saw somebody buy one. They had to change the shock system on it and the struts, right? And it cost them $6,000. They're not cheap to work on. So you're kind of doing a bit of a crapshoot on that. You might get a good one or you might get a crappy one. They're not made as well as they used to be. Christian says, Scotty, my 2023 Tacoma has a metal rattle when I accelerate. What could it be? Regardless of what it is, get your phone out, record it, take it to the dealer and say, fix it. Could be lots of things. They might have built the engine wrong, and it's rattling internally, and they're going to have to fix it. The catalytic converter might have been made wrong, and it's broken inside, and it's going to rattle. Regardless, it's a 2023. Take it in. Now, if you don't get any satisfaction, and you're anywhere near Portsmouth, Rhode Island when I'm here, or Clarksville, Tennessee when I'm there, feel free to bring it by, and I'll make a video on it, and I'll shame them into fixing that thing for you. But at that new, it shouldn't make any noise, and if it is, something's wrong, take it in. But like I say, first make a video, because they're just going to say, we don't hear anything, it's not making a noise now, blah, 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 right? No, make a video, you got proof, go from there. Gypsy Magic says, got a 1988 Honda Civic, starts fine, stalls out. 10 minutes, then starts again, then it does it again. What's causing the problem? There's all kinds of things that cause that problem, but I can give you a pretty darn good guess, because I worked on those things all the time. It's an 88 Honda Civic. It has a distributor that sends the spark to the spark plugs. Those electronic distributors, even though it's back in 1988, it still is electronic, computer driven. It's not points, it's not physical. It's all done with magnets and electricity. Those short out, and that's exactly what happens. They short out, they don't have spark. And then after they cool down, they start up again. You can get a brand new or rebuilt distributor for it pretty cheap. It's pretty easy to tell. All you got to do is, when it doesn't start again, have somebody check for spark. And if you have no spark when it doesn't start, replace the distributor or something. I've changed out hundreds of them in Hondas over the years. Well, a guy's converting a Ford Escape into an all-electric vehicle. Robert, who has a YouTube channel, Aging Wheels, decided he's going to turn his Ford Escape into a fully electric vehicle. Mind you, this was just a regular gasoline Ford Escape. The interesting thing is, he's using Tesla motors, but he's building his own battery pack. Now, you might say, why would he build his own battery pack? Why can't he use the Tesla one? Well, because the Tesla battery pack is made for Teslas. They hang on the bottom of the vehicle. There's no room on the bottom of the Escape, so he's got to build his own custom battery in order to fit in the vehicle that's already been built, which of course is an absolute stinker. He's having a real time with that. He's going to make 6 groups of 4 modules of batteries. Understand, most electric vehicles don't have a giant battery. They have a bunch of battery modules hooked up together. So he's going to put some of them under the vehicle, and then some of them where the engine used to be in the front. Who knows what the power-weight ratio and the balance of the car is going to be? That's the thing when people start modifying stuff. Hey, engineers design cars so the center of gravity is pretty much in the middle, so they handle well. You start putting these heavy battery packs all over the place, it might end up handling like a real dog. Now, Robert's still working on it. We'll see what happens with it. But, of course, the problem is, if you do something as a one-off, it's going to be expensive and it's going to be a pain in the butt. Now, in Europe already, there are companies that have kits that they can turn Hondas into electric vehicles. They even have kits that I've seen for Hondas there where the electric motor and the whole electric assembly actually has holes on the side so that the Honda axles will snap right into it. So talk about not having to modify anything. You keep the same axles on the Honda and they just snap into the motor assembly in the front of the vehicle. Now, eventually, if electric cars really become popular, that's going to be a mad scheme. A bunch of people will start doing that. Millions of cars that work perfectly fine, right? Well, why not just throw the engine away, put in a battery and an electric motor, convert them? They're always talking about save the planet, right? Well, let's really save the planet. Forget spending all this energy and time building brand new electric cars. Take the cars we already have and repurpose them with electric motors and batteries. Of course, then the companies don't make this tremendous profits. In Europe, these kits are like $7,000, so they're not selling you a $100,000 car. So of course, the corporations aren't making a profit. And if you follow the money, that's what they want. The most sense would be to convert, especially smaller cars. I've been telling people, hey, if you ever come up with a kit to convert the 94 Toyota Celica, which is basically a Toyota Corolla, so there's millions of Corollas, right? If you make a kit that converts Corollas to electric vehicles, you would sell a heck of a lot of them. Wouldn't you rather buy a $6,000, $7,000 kit to buy a whole car that costs, $50,000 to $150,000? Of course you would. But if you try doing it yourself like Robert is, that's another story. You're getting into rat's nest then. Landed Eagle says, Scotty, are you into racing cars? I like going fast in cars, racing around myself, yes. Now, I'm not a real race car fan because I find it tremendously boring to watch. It is relatively boring. Now, if you've ever been in a race car, going around a circle at 200 miles an hour, it's the most exciting thing on the planet. You could get killed at any moment. You got to pay attention, I mean, that is a lot of fun. But watching it, that's another story. It can be as dull as watching paint dry. I'm not a big race car fan sitting there and watching it, but you let me drive one around, I'll have a lot of fun. Watching it go around, no, not so much fun. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.